Hello and welcome, one and all. It is I, your host and Dungeon Master, Wolfe Scott. Oh, thank you, Undercover, for the extra sub. You say 3-month sub. Thank you so much. Ooh, I think your follow avatar got updated too with the new sword icon. So, congrats. Happy to be here with you once again, one and all. Double checking to make sure my mic is operational before I shut my vision down, which it looks like it is. We're happy to see it. Welcome to Level 1 Adventuring. If you are... Oh, sword, says Undercover. Yes, sword for you. And also, what's up, Nar? Good to have you here as well. This is Level 1 Adventuring. If you are new here, what are we? What is this? Level 1 Adventuring is a TTRPG and RPG focused stream. We do everything from big group games like you're probably familiar with, like D&D. We have an ongoing 5e campaign that you can watch here and on our YouTube. We also do smaller, more intimate indie projects, which is what we're going to be doing tonight with Tales of the Burned Stones by RPGs. And sometimes we even play some digital RPGs, Solasta, soon to be playing Baldur's Gate 3 once it drops on Mac. So there's tons of stuff to see. We hope you stick around. Big thank you to StreamLabs, StreamSpell, Stream Audio, Tabletop Audio for all of the wonderful sounds and sights and effects that you are seeing here on the screen. If you want to update your own streams with cool effects, you can use our links down below to give us a little kickback. That always helps. And I think that's my usual spiel that I give to all of our friends here. Oh, and then one more thing, the Discord. Join the Discord. It's where we update everyone on what we're going to be playing, what we are playing. It's where we meme, where we chat. We're going to be playing some D&D 5e there together as a community very soon. Made some headway in updating some of the things I needed to this week, so sooner than ever. And it's also where I post some free 5e content that I make, some homebrew. Just today I released the literal hedge knight, which is like a knight who's made of leaves, like he's like a topiary statue who's also a knight, so you can surprise your party with vines and swords and, you know, sneak attacks as your giant bush shaped like a person. So it's a lot of fun. But with all that being said, top tier dad joke. Yeah, I cannot help but turn even my D&D creations into top tier, we'll say, quote unquote, in your words, not mine, dad jokes, Undercover. But with that being said, what are we doing tonight? We are playing, let me switch over to my solo stream view and make sure that nothing breaks in the process. How are we looking? We're looking good. We're looking good. Trying to get myself in the center screen here. As I put me back on performance mode. Tales of the Burned Stones by RPGs. If you have not been following this game, we've been running about 4 sessions of it so far on the channel. I think this will be 5 or 6 or something. What is it? It is a solo-friendly RPG. So you can play this even with your friends, but if you are playing alone, like this guy, you can still play. It is done by RPD of RPGs, friend of the channel, a great human and awesome game designer. Actually has been watching our playthrough, and through some of the interactions in our game has actually made some updates to some of the rules text and things like that from watching us and seeing how things play out, which is really cool to have like sort of live updates, like patches being done through this playthrough. So an awesome game, very evocative, as you can see here from the art even, very evocative storytelling based game where essentially the whole premise is you don't have to explicitly be a dwarf, although the stories does revolve heavily around like a dwarf mountain, like a dwarf culture. But primarily, the world, a fantasy world, has been taken over by demons or other underworld denizens after a mountain, a volcano has erupted from misgivings from long past. And you sort of play these beings known as the Remnants, who are monster hunters, demon slayers, going around trying to accomplish your goals while the world crumbles around you. So that's the basic gist. You can check out this release. I think the last time we played this together, the game was not yet fully released. It was sort of like we were playing like an early version, but it is now out and it is 100% free. So there's literally no reason for you to not download it. If you can download it for money, if you can donate to RP and Fari RPGs, I implore you to do so because the work is that good. But, times is tough out there in this, capitalist hellscape that we are suffering through. So, do what you can. But it's a great game, and it deserves your money. And it's a lot of fun. And it is free, if you can. And the link is in our top Twitch chat comment that I made here. And it will also be in the description on the YouTube. So, you can find the link, you can download it. It will be a grand time. Okay, so that out of the way. Oh, and I should say this is the rulebook here. I'm not going to go too much. It's been a while since we picked up these rules from our last playthrough. I don't want to go through a huge rules read. We're going to kind of approach them as they come up in game. And if you need to watch the other episodes where I do a more in-depth talk about the rules, that's great. But you should know that the system that this is built off of is a system that the Fari RPGs games created and has run a couple different titles off of, known as the Breathless system, which is very smooth and very fiction first. Hey, what's up, Fleetwood? Happy to have you, as always. So yes, that is the system that it's run on. That is the general setting. Now, the game itself actually guides you in the beginning of the construction of your game and your characters. It actually gives you sections for how you can shape a bit of the lore. It gives you sort of fill in the blank right here, choose your adventure, fill in the blank prompts for certain aspects of the world. We've already done this, right? But it does give us a little bit more of information about our character and the world before. So in a very broad overview, because some people have been watching since episode 1. Our name is Duragrim Felldeep. There he is, Duragrim. Duragrim is a remnant, so he is a person who has been brought back from the dead by a coven of witches known as the Sisters of the Eclipse for unknown reasons. Pretty much, as far as we know, the Sisters of the Eclipse bring back people who were slayed during the demon incursion and have them serve them now to quest for magical artifacts from the days before the demons rose. To what ends, we don't know. We really don't have much of a say in the matter because we're sort of under their thrall to a certain degree. They can exert a great deal of magical influence over us. But otherwise, when they're not around, we are our surly, strong, dwarven selves. We have an axe gun, which, as the name implies, is 1 part axe, 1 part gun, which, mathematically speaking, is the solution to every problem that we've come across in our story so far. And we are dead. More accurately, we are undead. That's why we have this, cold cobalt blue skin. We also have the ability to craft potions. The witches gave us that power. So we can craft potions to help us fight our supernatural enemies more effectively. And the most important thing to know is that we have a particular potion called the Farsight Potion, which kind of lets us see a few fragments into the future. Sort of gives us heightened senses. So we're a little easier to fight demons, right, when we pop that. But it also strips away our memories, which are already at a premium because we're undead, so we kind of are losing those already in our sanity. So it's a risk and reward. It's a give and a take kind of thing. On our last session, I'm gonna take a drink of water here. Yeehaw. Our last session, it started off with us being reawakened, reanimated, because we died again. We were trying to liberate a bunch of dwarves, which were being abused by a demon and a coterie of demon worshipping dwarves that were wearing this scary black iron plate, and they had demonic runes all over themselves. We found them traveling. And so we wanted to try and save our kinsmen We managed to kill the demon, thumbs up, but then we also died in the process, so thumbs down. We got killed by the minions. But that's fine, because it's really hard to kill that which is already dead. So we respawned, if you will, at a grave site that is watched over by the Sisters of the Eclipse, the witches. We saw that it had been desecrated by what appeared to be some cultists, some demon cultists. So we weren't able to fully reform when we woke up. We took some damage upon our resurrection, so that's kind of like a new wrinkle in the story now. The demon worshippers are starting to find these idols to the Sisters of the Eclipse, and they are what's the word? Sabotaging them. So bad for us. But then we decided to travel forward and find... Oh, what was the name of that place we generated? We were trying to find a temple. Oh, yes, the Celestial Ruins. We were trying to find a temple. Well, it used to be a temple to the old, like, dwarven, spirits of the stone. But it has since been, of course, apprehended by demonic forces and upended. And we're trying to find it because the temple lies above some caverns, which leads deep into the heart of Mount Baram, which is the mountain that exploded, which is filled with demons. Because we have been tasked with the witches to find a magical item there by the name of Brolda's Burning Band. It is apparently a magical ring, which will allow them to exert psychic dominance over demons and hellspawn. So it should help in the war against the underworld, right? So that is our aim, that is our goal. So we snuck our way into the temple, half collapsed into the burning pits below. We actually came across those same dwarves, which were that felled us earlier on in the story, worshipping at a demonic effigy. We snuck up on them. We did a murder. We did a couple of murders, as one does in these adventure games. But we came out victorious. We also, what's the word? We came out of here with a bit of loot, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we found a Hell-Touched amulet, which allows us to feel for demons, which is pretty useful. Search for demons. That was on one of the cultists. And that was pretty much where we ended the session, was we did a bunch of murders. Oh, and we've also been pursued. Part of our traveling montage, we rolled a random result, which means we're being pursued. We really don't know by what yet. We have this feeling that there is something dark and mysterious on our tail, but it hasn't really surfaced itself yet. But we have been tagged as we've been traveling, and that is essentially where we left off. Our quest, we have a map, don't we, that we generated? Yeah. So this was our entrance. This was our obstacle, right? This was the dwarves worshipping at the demonic effigy, which means now we have to travel to this room. We have to figure out what is opposing us here. That is our next thing to generate for the story. And then we will get here, which is presumably the way into the caverns below, and the story will continue. But right now, we are at this room, and I think what we need to do is, as the Breathless system is famously named, I think we have to catch our breath. So catching your breath in Breathless is pretty much, the system works as a battle of attrition. Every time you do something, you deplete some of your resources, your stats, your items, they all tick down, right? And once they get low enough that it becomes incredibly difficult for you to succeed on any of your rolls, you're going to have to, quote-unquote, catch your breath to reset things and help yourself forge ahead. And I'm pretty sure the last fight we got into kind of took a lot out of us. Let me take a look at my... Well, actually, I might be lying there. We used my grit. My loot die is pretty low, but that's like fine. Loot's like the least of my worries. The journey die is pretty low, but we're not journeying much yet. So, I'm fine with that. I only have 3 health tick down. And these are still at full. So actually, maybe I lied. Maybe we're not going to catch our breath. Maybe we are just going to forge ahead. The grit die is useful to have, but I don't think it's worth... Because every time you catch your breath to reset your skills, it usually adds a complication to the narrative, which is something that... I mean, we can probably endure, but why not wait until we have a little bit more of our resources expended before we make things harder for ourselves, right? So, I guess that means we need to generate some information for our next room. So I'm going to open up... There's some wonderful, I can't talk, wonderful tables in this book here, which gives us... Ooh, my neck. Gives us the ability to random roll some evocative words that will help us populate some ideas for the room. So we know there is an opposition happening. What is this opposition? I'm gonna roll 2d6. So we have a 2 and a 5. 2 and a 5 is a change. Okay. A change. And I'm going to roll a 5 and a 1. A 5. A change of ambition. Ooh. Okay. So let's go to the quest here. We're in the Celestial Ruins. So this was room 1. Obstacle, sacrifice, revenge. So now this is opposition. A change of ambition. Okay. I'm already starting to have an idea for what this might mean, given that we have found the demon worshippers that were apprehending our what's the word? Our kinsfolk, the other dwarves, the liberators, right? That were trying to travel across the wastes. So perhaps they have been brought here for some sort of terrible ritual, you know, some sort of ritual sacrifice. And Duragrim seeing this, he's already had a bleeding heart for them once. Perhaps he would have a bleeding heart for them again. Okay. So, change of ambition. So then I guess what we... Yeah, let's roll one of these verbs. Let's see what the verbs give us here. A 1 and a 1. Leading. Interesting. Led or... A change of ambition. Yeah, we have to lead the refugees out of the temple. Yeah, because we're trying to get deeper into the temple, right? So a change of ambition, leaving us in the exact opposite direction, right? What does Nar say here in chat? Nar is giving wide eyes to our AI chatbot, Beans, because Beans is remembering a very specific conversation that happened from our last session, which was the prompt of many a joke. Okay, so I like this idea. Okay, so there are a group of dwarf captives. And Duragrim wants to lead them to safety. Okay. So I guess if they are in this room, they're probably being held captive in some way. So let's ask our oracle. We do have an oracle in here, if I'm not mistaken. Sell and salvage. Risk oracle. Alright. To use the oracle, roll a die based on your level of control of the current situation. When in doubt, use a d6. Okay. This lets you discern... disclaim decision making on a particular question. When using the oracle, envision the scene, then ask a yes or no question about the action's outcome. So I guess my question to the oracle would be like, are they currently under watch, under guard? Are they being surveilled in any way, right? So I'm gonna say that it's pretty likely this is the demon's lair. And if they want some sacrifices to offer to their malevolent powers, they probably want to make sure they don't get away. So let's roll a d10. A 7. So the answer is yes and. So are they being watched? Yes and... Are they? I can't type. Are they being watched? Yes and. Okay, so what is the yes and? Let's pull up our Spark table again. We'll roll another verb. A 4 and a 3. A 4 and a 3. Ooh, and they're being retrieved. Okay. Oh, God, this is terrible. Okay. So in my mind's eye... There are... Okay, so Duragrim just slew the dwarves. So we have to go to my mind palace. You know, we have to enter the fiction here. So Duragrim has just felled the demon-worshipping dwarves. Oh, actually, that's one more thing I wanna discern. A d6 is they say use a d6 when in doubt. This lets you use the oracle. I want to know if like a demon would be watching over these things, or like or more of their cronies, you know? So I think we should ask the oracle again to figure out what we're dealing with. Is there a demon watching over our prisoners? I'm going to roll a d8 because it's right in the middle. A 7. The answer is yes, and so there are several demons. Several demons. Okay, cool. Wonderful. We love that for us. We just can't seem to catch a break here. Okay. So then, actually, since we have Beans here, let's ask Beans, hey, Beans, give us a cool description for demon wardens of a vile prison. Let's see what Beans comes up with. Ooh, demon wardens of a vile prison are sinister and formidable beings whose sole purpose is to keep the darkest and most dangerous entities locked away, or, you know, hold sacrifices in tow. They possess an otherworldly aura, their eyes glowing with unsettling crimson light. With razor-sharp claws and jagged wings, they strike fear into the hearts of any who dare approach. Their deep, echoing voices resonate with ancient incantations, fueling the power of the prison's wards. Okay, so that's cool. So that actually that answers a couple questions for us. So what is holding the dwarves hostage? I want to say there is like a ring of hellish runes which encircle rows of stone pews, because this place used to be a church, right? It used to be a temple. So perhaps this is like a room that might have once served as like an audience chamber for some of the old stone priests. And so they're all sitting on these pews, and you can see some are, they obviously have not been taken care of very well. Some of them look a little hungry and emaciated. They're covered in dirt and grime. And some of them are like using the pews to like sleep on rather uncomfortably. Some are like huddled together in big clutches, to try and safety in numbers. But they're around these pews. There are a series of like sinister sigils which are scrawled into the earth. They glow with like a malevolent red light, right? And you can see that there are like waves of invisible heat that are emanating off of those ruins. Like when you look at like on a hot day when you're looking down the street on pavement, and you can see like the sort of waves of heat coming off of the concrete. That's sort of what we're seeing even at this distance. And there are, even like when like an idle gust of air blows smoke and sand from the wastes outside, like through the cracks of the old stone temple walls, when it touches this like semi-translucent barrier of like heat, against the sands, you can instantly see them like burn up and like burst into embers, like like basically we don't want to get close to it if we can, right? It's bad news. And they are, so the wardens, as they're described, I'm imagining them being sort of like these tall, sort of like hunched over, like hunchback, red-fleshed beings with these razor-sharp claws, as stated, these glowing red eyes. They're probably wearing like the same black wrought iron armor, but like in looser chunks, right? Like maybe around the helmet and maybe a chest plate, but like leaves a lot of the arms exposed except for like the forearms and maybe like the shins, because they need to be kind of they can't be too weighed down because they have these these big leathery wings, which allows them to burst up into the air when they need to. And maybe like these natural like black spines that are like growing out of their body, at uneven angles. They're sort of like warty, uneven, leathery flesh. Their eyes, as described by Beans, are also burning with this same fiendish light, which is reverberating against the captive zone, the ring of runes that are holding our prisoners, and they are hunched over, and their arms are sort of like outstretched in either direction, and they are staring unblinkingly at the ring. They're almost in a trance-like state as they whisper like sibilant demonic tongue, Arusie Kara Asurora, like over and over, which is like fueling the power into that ring. And now it does say they're being watched and they're being retrieved. So I think, Duragrim, we're hustling our way. Of all the fine days to be running into the dark farces, like cursing to himself, a little winded. He's a stocky guy, a strong guy, but he's just been like climbing up stone parapets and being knocked over, if I'm remembering that from the last session. So he's probably a little winded as he's sneaking his way through the darkness, and peers over some of the collapsed, I imagine there's probably like statues like of the old stone saints and like figures that were very important to dwarven leadership and religious practice like back in the day, which have been defaced, probably smeared in like blood and like claw marks and toppled over, right? And Duragrim can hear in the distance these odd whispers, and so stiffens up, grabs his axe gun, loads it up, throws his back against one of like the cracked remnants of marble which are behind him, and then peers his eyes over and sees this sorrowful gaggle of dwarves, which he recognizes as the same ones he tried to save earlier but died trying to defend. So now their situation is from bad to worse. But at least he's killed some of the guards in the front. And as he's watching them, and he's performing his mental calculus on how he might be able to break them free of their fate, we hear from the opposite direction, right, like deeper into like another tunnel into the temple complex, we hear a resonant voice call out, "We require another for the ritual to begin." And like, you know, all the other demons like sort of like snap up and they look over, and they turn towards, you know, the pounding of footsteps coming from the long dark hallways, and you can see this figure be unveiled before them. A similar demon archetype, right, as the wardens, but obviously this one is commanding a sort of an aura of command, probably higher ranking. Perhaps there are more ornamental, like filigree into the black of its armor. Perhaps the horns have grown into a more elaborate, almost like crown-like headdress to denote station above its messes. And you can see like one of the demons nearest to the circle sort of pull away from the ritual, and as it does that, we can sort of tangibly see the rune's light fade a little bit. And the semi-translucent barrier of heat, which was transpiring before, sort of shimmers down. It's obviously still dangerous, right? Obviously trying to walk through it would probably bring you excruciating pain. But we see a connection between the focus of the demons on the sigils and the strength and the power of the prison that they're being held in, right? And when this demon breaks concentration so that it can speak to its higher up, the other two have to like increase their focus, their fervor, right? Their chanting becomes more boisterous and becomes faster, you know, to like make sure that the prison remains strong. And then, you know, the other demon which broke focus, you know, slinks its way over to its higher commanding counterpart. But we should ask, hey Beans, give us the name for this demon warden. Let's see what Beans comes up with. How about Rakthar the Dreadguard? Oh, hell yeah. Rakthar the Dreadguard. Beans, you're firing on all cylinders today, pal. Okay. So, you can see the more spindly, the less physically imposing variant of these demon wardens slink its way over towards the far more imposing, the far more in control demon. And now we know, Rakthar. But of course, whatever flesh and bone is required, you may have readily. And sort of like the Rakthar and his underling walk over towards the cage, and you can watch as both of their glowing eyes, right, like are scanning the crowd, and the dwarves are shivering and cowering, and some are like trying to make themselves look small and hidden behind one each other, or even like push themselves behind the pews, until finally Rakthar settles his ominous gaze upon one dwarf who is trying to remain, you know, sort of swaddled almost in the arms of another dwarf through like a heavy cloak, a heavy shawl that's been draped over the both of them. And Rakthar simply like raises a finger and like a hand and points it in the direction. That one shall be what is gifted to the powers below. And, you know, you can hear all the other dwarves like, oh, no, that one, no, you can't. And, you know, the warden sort of just bats his arm just in the air sort of nonchalantly, and a sort of a hole is bored within that wave of heat before them, a perfect sort of like circle between the air that is dangerous and the air that is safe. As the smaller guard opens up its wings and flaps and, you know, jumps into where the pews are and immediately puts its hands on the dwarf which is being swaddled. It looks like perhaps it is the son of the other dwarf that was trying to hide him, try to shield him, but obviously not well enough. As you can hear there's like a murmuring, some of the dwarves are like cursing, you know, the darkness of these demons. Some are just whimpering and thanking their dead stone gods that it was not them today that was chosen. And you can probably see the dwarf whose son is being like pulled from her clutches is just tearing up, and you know there's mud and ash being caked with her tears as she tries desperately to hold on to like the last of her kin. Like, no, you can't, please take me, anyone take me. And then, you know, I think like the demon which is apprehending him, you know, finally manages to pull him from her grasp with like one hand, and the other hand sort of like whap, you know, just like straight across the cheek, sends her like flying almost towards where the flaming barrier is. She manages to like skid across the stone and like stop before she hits it. But even like from the few inches that are separating like her body from where the aura of heat is, immediately you can see the edges of her clothes begin to like blacken and fray, and you can hear like burning hair as like the ends of her massive, you know, tangle of hair begins to like shrivel against the heat, and she like quickly pulls herself away. Silence, or it shall be your blood next which we spill. The demon like hisses at her, and she just sort of, you know, crestfallen, falls away into herself, and pathetically sort of crawls back towards the pews. And the son, which is currently being held in the grasp of the demon, just sort of gives his mother like a long, hard, stoic glance, and sort of nods and says, "It's all right, Mum. I'll be all right. It's meant to be this way. I'll be with the stones soon. Don't you cry for me. I'll be with the stones soon." Silence! You know, the demon hisses again as it like tucks him under his arm and like jumps back through the flames, and like ends up on the other side with Rakthar. And sort of like, you know, hoists him up in the air so that Rakthar can inspect the dwarf in question. And Rakthar extends a clawed hand down, sort of like prods his finger underneath his chin and like tilts his head up so that same long, cold stare can like meet the demon's gaze. But you can see that now that the dwarf is faced with Rakthar, it sort of averts his eyes, is a little fearful to fully embrace, you know, the aura of this creature. Not so brave in the face of your demise, are you, boy? And the dwarf just like trembles and like keeps his eyes down, and then like tries for a moment to like look defiantly upward. Where are your stone gods now? And then like just snatches him and like turns around and begins to march back toward the hallway into where he appeared, and over his shoulder calls out We have Rakthar. What about... We'll say... Sakol will be the other one, the underling. Just making that up, but it seems cool. And so Rakthar says, "Come, Sakol, we have much to do." "Yes, Rakthar, of course, Rakthar." As like they both disappear. So that leaves us with like a moment of opportunity, right? The pen is lower in power because there are only 2 demons guarding it. And we have a chance to possibly stop the ritual before that young boy is sacrificed. So we're being pulled into a lot of directions here, but that is how drama works, right? All right, so let's figure out what is our plan of attack here. What are our options? What is our plan of attack? Now, Duragrim, he actually got a new ability. One of these last sessions. He got Spotter. So you may look for a weak point in someone or some things. I like this, some things. Defense. Roll a d10. On a 1 to 2, there are no weak points. On a 3 to 4, you find a weak point, and future rolls can be done with a good position. On a 5 or higher, you find multiple weak points, and future rolls can be done with an excellent position. And it costs 2 steps. Okay. So, let's take a look at our... What is our... I have to figure out how I organized everything again. Okay. So... I think what we can do is we can try and maybe use our dexterity here. A dexterity, assuming, is like, you know, our sneakiness, our stealth. This may give us the ability to sneak around without being seen by the other entranced demon guards and find a weak spot in the runes, which we can exploit to maybe help get the dwarves to safety, right? So we have to use 2 steps, which means our d8 would be reduced down to a d6 to a d4. So we're losing a lot of dice in this, but hopefully it ends up yielding some results for us. Oh, I think I have 2... Yeah. Okay. I have too many things open. Okay, let's go back to our game info, our Duragrim abilities. So we roll a d10, right? Let's do that. Oh, no. Nothing? A 1. We spent 2 die to do nothing? Ah, that is so brutal. That is so brutal. That is awful. Okay, so there's no weak points. So we can't exploit anything there. But perhaps we could still... we could still maybe... So there's either we kind of have to distract the demons, right? We have to pull maybe one away so that we can maybe just deal with the one. Because fighting both of them will be very hard. But distracting one so that we can split their forces, I think will give us the best chance we have at success. And we just used 2 die of our G's. Okay. Okay. So how do we do that? How do we distract? We have items. We have a search for demons, which I don't really know how that would help. Oh, okay. So, I want to say, like, we have a bunch of flasks right, that we used to make potions with. And maybe we can hurl that in the direction of where we came from, which, you know, would give the demons a reason to search there, and then they would also be inspecting the murdered corpses and stuff. So they give us an ample amount of time to try and free our kinsfolk. So how would we distract them? Maybe because I'm throwing this very far away, I'm going to do a strength check. So I have to roll a d8. And then, let's see. Oh, we want to see... Oh, I should have also checked... I didn't check for my position when I did my first roll. I don't think it would really matter considering that we rolled a 1. Like, I don't think it would really matter. Complications, positions. Perform the check as normal. Roll 1 step higher. We would have rolled a d12. No, because, like, we still might have rolled a 1 on a d12, so I don't think that is any better. We are hidden, so I would say that our position is good so far. So I'm going to say we're going to roll 1 step higher. So we're going to roll a d10. A 9. Okay. So you greatly succeed. The higher the result, the better. Okay. So this means that we're like watching the two demons continue their chant over the barrier, the heat barrier. And we look down into our folds of our clothes and our equipment, and we find some of our flasks that we used to make potions. We pop open a cork. We put in a few loose ingredients, you know, like the noisiest one we have, like tiny, like, seeds from, like, bracken plants that are, like, you know, that have terraformed and evolved into these, like, harsh desert-like conditions. Maybe a few, like, bone shavings from, like, different creatures. Just, like, noisy, hard bits in a cask. And we look back down towards the room which we just exited, which is filled with dwarf corpses. And we raise our arm back, you know, we pitch it and we throw it. And then it ding, 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 rattle, 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 you know, all out through the hallway. And both of the demons, their eyes, you know, lit up in the direction of the sound. And then quickly, they both sort of resume their focus on the sigil because they don't want the barrier to be dispelled. But you can see that their focus is now split. So the barrier is like wavering, you know, it's like losing strength. And then in, you know, demon tongue to one another, because they're not talking to Rakthar, who was talking to the dwarves, you know, there's a few Araxia Shutura as they like point down the hallway. Arakara Iketus. You know, they're sort of like arguing amongst each other as to who should be the one to investigate. And after a couple minutes of arguing and hissing and chopping at each other, eventually the one's eyes begins to glow with like a lesser intensity as he pulls himself away from the trance before him, the barrier. And now the other demon must focus all of his strength and attention on the barrier as the investigating guard flaps his wings, takes up into the air, now hovering, you know, in these massive crumbling stone archways and tunnelways that once made up the temple of the old stone pantheon, and hovers their way above us. You know, we see like this figure of red and black like careen over our heads and then sail towards where we had just come from. So now it is just us and one demon. And we are unfortunately depleted a little bit more than we had maybe wanted to be in our in our triumphs here. But hey, there's still a chance. Maybe now we catch our breath. I know that's going to introduce a wrinkle here, but a D4 and a D6 are like our main attacking. Oh wait, actually, what's my item? I have a D4 on my gun too. Maybe I do catch my breath here. I'm kind of low on like a lot of my... that's kind of a tricky thing. Complications, catch your breath, but triggers a new all my skills. So I'll only get, if it's only my skills, I won't get my gun back either. I still have... my potions. This is tough. This is tough. Costs 1 die step. I can drink my Farsight potion. I can expend... because I can't use Spotter right now. I'm out of... You know what? Yeah, let's do it. Because we can catch our breath in the middle of the fight if we need to and reset everything. We won't get our health back, which is scary. But if we drink our... Oh, but then we also lose a memory if we drink our potion. Is it worth it? No, I think we lost 2 memories the last game. I think Duragrim is a little wary about how willing he is to lose his thoughts. So I think we are going to catch our breath, which is going to make things a little bit more difficult, perhaps. But okay, so now we have to roll. So we're sort of, our backs against the stone. We are like, you know, like heaving, recollecting ourselves, steeling ourselves for the fight ahead. And like underneath our breath, we're probably saying some prayers to the old stone. May my fist be firm and strike true. May my body never break before the blows of my enemies. You know, sort of like those sort of adages. But we have to roll a complication and see what happens. So, I think it's a fiction-based complication. We were being careful. So we're going to roll a d8, which is an 8. You found the wrong place. Interesting. We found the wrong place. I'm going to make a note of that, because I don't think that's something that we know now. Alright, so our catch breath obstacle, we found the wrong place. I think this is going to become more pertinent when we hit the final room of the temple. So I'm going to actually move that over here for now. We found the wrong place. Our goal, right? As unfortunate as that is, I think fictionally speaking, that's probably what makes the most sense. Okay, so here we are. We've just caught our breath. I think what we want to do now... Oh, Valamati, thank you for the 4-month sub. We appreciate you so much. Oh, you're super late. Who cares? We're just vibing. We're just having fun. I mean, you came in at a pretty good time, because essentially we are we just caught our breath. We just did a little short rest, we'll say, in a D&D 5e term, because we are staring down a demonic prison, which is holding a few dwarves in hold and magical restraint. And there is a demon warden, which is keeping an eye on them. And we're about to see if we can't start some problems for this guy. So the first thing that I think I want to do is I think I want to try and use my ability on him. I think I want to try and what's the word? Look for weak spots. Look for weak spots. So let's go to the game info. Let's go to... Where's Duragrim? Where is our boy Duragrim fell deep in his axe gun? There he is. Abilities. We have to roll a d10. That's right. So let's roll that d10. See what happens. A 5. Okay. You find multiple weak points, and future rolls can be done with an excellent position. Grand. We love that. So excellent position means we get to roll twice and take the highest result, right? Yeah, nice. Love that for us. Okay. So go back to our skills. So we did have to bump our dexterity down 2, because I think what's happening here in the fiction is we are now sneaking up, you know? We've taken our breath. We are shifting our way from the broken battlements and the old stone, the crumbling statues of the temple, and we're approaching behind the demon, which is now fully focused on maintaining the hold on the prisoners through the sigils, right? And we are wringing our hands around our axe gun as, you know, there are whispers coming from the demon. You know, like keeping his incantations focused towards keeping the binding strong as we come up from behind the demon and we raise our axe high. And we are, well, actually, I guess we should try to see if we can sneak, right? Like, because maybe we don't get a sneak attack. I'd love to get a sneak attack, but I don't also want to negate the demon a chance to be able to spot me, because I'm a fair dungeon master, even against myself. So, okay, I'm going to actually use the item for this. Actually, no. Because yeah, we'll go down one more step in our dexterity. So that means I get to roll twice and take the highest result. So that is... da-da-dum, ba-da-dum. 4! Okay. So, when you roll a 4... let me find my checks. You succeed, but there is a minor complication. Okay? So, let's see what our minor complication is. I'm going to say this is a mechanical-based complication, because we are about to maybe start a little bit of a combat here. So... let's roll a d8 and see what our minor complication is. 1. You take a hit. Okay, so in my mind, if I'm taking a hit, this is what happens. I am going to get my sneak attack off because I've succeeded in the sneak with a minor complication. But it means in the process of me getting the sneak attack off, I'm going to recur some sort of repercussion, which... you know, is negative toward me, which is fair. All right. So the good news is we do get to hit. He can hit. Oh, and that reminds me, actually. So if you remember from a while ago, the last time we had a combat, in in Tales of the Burned Stones, we were using specifically the combat rule set, the rule sheet, and I was like, oh, like, is this designed for solo play? Because when we were fighting 2 enemies, I was like, this feels really harsh. That was actually the fight that we died in, right? We killed 1 enemy, but we died shortly after. So in RP, messaging me and watching our playthroughs, right, actually said that they've added a challenge, kind of like a skill challenge based system, right? Which you can use to substitute solo combat, because solo combat was pretty punishing as written. So this should help us be able to facilitate single player challenges and combats more effectively and easily, right? Which is great. We love that. So I would say if fighting 3 demons was a hopeless challenge and fighting 2 demons was a dangerous challenge, then fighting 3 is a risky challenge, right? So we are going to need 5 successes. We're going to need 5 successes. 1 demon warden equals a risky challenge of 5 successes. Okay? Bum, bum. This music. Which actually reminds me, because we're going to get into some drama, let's play a little bit more of a dramatic track. You know? Let's get that rearing up. Okay. Ooh, yeah, the clanging of metal gearing us up. Okay. So we have to have 5 successes to win this challenge. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to roll I'm making a sneak attack, and I have his weak spot, what is his weak spot? If I'm coming up from behind, right? Perhaps, the way their armor is forged, like I said, it has to be kind of light because they need to be able to move their bodies in the air, right? And they also have to accommodate for their wings, right? So perhaps it's like this pitch black chest plate, right? But the neck guard lies open, like it exposes the shoulder blades so that the wings can be fit through. And there's 2 black, blackened leather straps, like demon hide straps, which crisscross on the back and bind the chest plate to the flesh of the demon. So it kind of leaves the back and the connective tissues. I don't know anatomically what you'd call them, but where the base of the wing meets the shoulder, right? Leaves that kind of exposed. So there's kind of a lot of real estate for us to work with if we're coming up from behind, which the demon certainly is not expecting, I imagine. So let's roll our D8 dice twice. Bum, bum. Ooh, that 7 looks good. You greatly succeed. The higher result, the better. Okay, so yeah, there it is. Okay, so number of successes, we got 1 out of 5. Okay, and the higher the result, the better. 5, 6. We're rolling a D8. That's pretty high on the... On a D8, a 7's pretty high. So perhaps, should we roll an additional effect that happens? Because we snuck attack them? Is there something fun there that we can do, maybe? Let's see. We can roll for... a question of the Oracle. Yes, and... you know what? We'll just treat it as a success for now, and we'll see what happens. We can always table that idea of getting a higher result for later. So basically, we sneak our way behind the demon. We are retching our hands around our axe gun. We lift it high above our heads, and we are like lining up our eyes right towards the nape of the neck, where, you know, we can see that exposed bit of flesh down towards where the wing would connect to the shoulder blade, and we are like glaring down, licking our lips, sweating. We are just about to like let the axe fall when some of the dwarves, which are currently being held captive, right? They see us, because they're facing the opposite direction of the demon. They see us approaching from behind, and they're not saying anything, but you can visibly see there's confusion, there's excitement, there's fear. Like, who is this person? What is happening? And because their body language and their eyes completely change, right? Like, their vision of, like, looking at each other or, like, crying. Like, there's obviously the woman who had her son just taken out of her hands from the demons. Like, she's probably crying. Now she, like, suddenly is stiffened up and is, like, kind of, like, mouth agape, looking, like, slightly behind the demon, right? Like, kind of gives away our position at the last possible moment. So we're, like, holding our axe high, and right as we're about to drop it down, you know, the demon sort of, like, his eyes flash for a second and, like, looks, like, over his shoulder right when the blade is swinging downward. He unfolds his wings in both directions, you know, like, flaps them outward, which knocks against us and, like, throws us backward, but not before the blade of our axe drags down the back of the warden. So we take, like, a huge gash out of the back of his flesh. There's, like, a splash of black Icarus blood that, like, sprays outward and, like, splashes against our face and our clothes, but we get thrown back in the process. As the demon sort of swings in our direction. Now, the dwarves, once the demon breaks his concentration on the sigils, that means their barrier prison is completely dispelled. That being said, these demons, like, don't know where they should go. There's about to be... Whoa! Fallen Marty, yeah, feed the beans. Yo, Bean just got a taco. That's Bean's favorite, as you can see. Thank you, Fallen Marty, for feeding our dragon friend. Needs to get big and strong to fight them dragons. Swings around, you know. I think the dwarves don't make a break for the exit because there's a demon down there. They're just gonna get caught again. So I think, like, once the barriers dispelled, there's sort of like waves of confusion and like and chaos that erupt within the ranks, and they all start like grabbing at each other and like looking frantically around as Duragrim like finally catches his like footing and like points in the direction of the dwarves. Take cover behind the old statues. Don't move a muscle until this beast has been felled. And you can see, like, all the dwarves, like, immediately see him as this authority figure and, like, rush behind, and they all huddle against, you know, the nearest toppled-over statue, sort of taking cover as the warden swings his attention fully in the direction of Duragrim. Another dwarf. Come to die. We didn't even need to sniff your filthy hide out of the wastes. You deliver yourself to us. You've made this too easy. As he, like, puts his hand forward, and there's, like, a mote of fire, you know, which erupts in his hands as he grasps it and swings it outward. And, like, these are demon wardens, right? So I'm getting, like, a very Balrog, mindset, or Balor, D&D thing. So I think there's maybe, like, a whip of flame that, like, emanates from his fist as he, like, cracks it. You have let a great deal of sacrifice free, dwarf. Perhaps you should serve in their stead. And you can see Duragrim, narrows his eyes. He, like, prepares the axe gun. I'm afraid my services are already sworn to powers beyond you, demon spawn. But you're more than welcome to try and claim them from me. And the demon sort of has a snicker across the toothy maw of his face
I will very much enjoy that.
You know, a spark of flame. And so now we're in a bit of a combat situation here. So we have to get a number of successes. We know the weak spot, though, which is good. However, we don't really have a really good position right now. He's facing us. So what we want to try to do is get a better... Or does it matter? I don't think it matters the way that the ability is worded. Let's go to Duragrim, abilities. Future rolls can be known with a good position. On 5+, you find multiple weak points. Oh, I found multiple weak points. So yeah, I'm seeing all the gaps in the armor, not just the one that I found on his back. I can see like multiple gaps, right? Which is great. So even when I'm facing him front forward, I have bonuses, which is what we want. Now, what do I have to use though? Because my dexterity is pretty much spent, but I do have strength. So I think strength is the way to go. And so, the demon, takes like a step upward and like flaps his wings as he hovers over the battlefield, like swinging the flaming whip above his head.
Your people have long failed against the hordes from below. You will just be another unfortunate marker on their debased history.
As like they like slide downward, like dive towards us, and Duragrim braces himself, holding his axe gun. We're gonna roll our 2d. We don't have a d8 anymore. We now have a d6 because we used it for the sneak attack. So we're gonna roll 2d6s. 1, 2. Okay, a 6 is good. A 6 is great, even. Oh, we did suffer 1 hit when we got buffeted by the wings, so we're down to 6 HP now. However, that 6 is definitely considered a success. And so, what does that mean for our quest? It's 2 successes. I think the demon is, dive bombing down in our position. We're holding our axe tightly. We sort of leap, like we run forward, like we're meeting him like head on. We're like about to collapse, like into each other, and that's when we like sort of slide on our haunches. We do like a a badass action hero, like slide against the stones right as the creature is like whoosh, about to unfurl the whip. As we swing the axe upward and catch it like right in the side, right where this breastplate ends and leaves away some of the exposed hips, like where there's probably like a loincloth that's been like fashioned out of the hides of several creatures, probably even humanoid creatures too, if we're being honest. But we swing that axe and we take another bite out of the midriff there as another spurt of black blood stains the stone. The creature lands on its feet and like doubles over for a moment as like black blood like vomits up a little bit out of from behind his teeth as he swings his head back around.
You impudent little rat! How dare you? How dare you mark the flesh of a being you're greater?
Whoosh, and like another like flaming whip cracks as the dwarves in the background all shiver and like cling closer to each other.
For one so superior, you seem ready to die like all your lessers.
Is he like, readies another round of the axe gun, and like swings the flaming whip in our direction. So we have to make another check. Oh boy, what are we doing here? Now we're down to a D6 on our axe gun, which isn't great, but it's what we got to work with. So I think we keep it going. Oh, I should say no, now we're down to a D4, right? We got a 2 and a 1. Ooh, what is a 2? A 2 doesn't sound great. What is our... The answer is yes, but I keep losing what I want to see. 2. You fail or succeed with a major complication. You fail or succeed with a major complication. I mean, I think we're in this scenario. It sounds like a fail's a fail's a fail's a fail, right? So I'm gonna roll, because now that we're in combat, but we're doing this by, like, challenge, you know? We don't actually have a means by which to know how much damage we suffer per attack. I think what we should do is use our willpower, because that's what I've been using to sort of adjudicate how much damage I've suffered in the past. So why don't I say we can use actually our attack formula as their attack formula, right? So or I could say, let's take a look at this actually. There's major complications, there's trouble, there's attacks. There's also a section that talks about risk, right? Yeah. Perilous, almost certain. I think what we want to do is use the attacks. If the creature's a risky challenge, that would probably mean the risk is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, a hopeless challenge. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can turn their risk into like a danger threshold. You know what I mean? So I know how much damage they're about to do to me. So in my mind, if precarious, risky, and dangerous and hopeless are 3, 5, 8, 11, or sorry, 8, 13, then if we take a look here, chaotic, predictable, manageable, precarious. I feel like this would be the damage would operate in the same mindset, right? So like risk low, higher, highest, highest. So risky would be a D6 essentially. They got a 5. So on a 5 they deal 3 hits of damage to me. Which is quite literally a half my health. Okay. Oh, but maybe we catch our breath. It's not gonna help with our. It's not gonna help with our grit or anything, or our health, but it will help our stats. Oh no, wait. We did catch our breath before this fight. Man, we just caught our breath. We gotta catch it again? This thing is brutal. But maybe that's just what we gotta do. Okay. I'm going to... I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna catch my breath. Which means we have to introduce a new complication to the fight. We have to resolve the hit from the first thing too, but I think it's wise if we also roll our complication first. So we're in a mechanical-based situation. 2, you get a bad position. Okay, so let's go back to our quest. So we go, I think what we say there, because we automatically have excellent position because we know the weak spot, right? But because we have a bad position, I think that is like minus down a step, because we can't really go all the way to bad. We have excellent from our special ability, but I think it should impose a penalty on us. So I think we roll one step down. I think we're forced out of excellent position to only good position. And why do I think that is? I think that is because we're like cocky and we're saying like, oh, you're gonna die like all the rest. This thing whoosh, like whips forward, and we try to raise our axe, but we are far too slow, and this thing's flaming whip streaks across our face, right? It is this absolutely excruciating sensation of like our flesh being whip cracked open and like flames scouring our body. Oh, but we are actually, I think we're like flame resistant a little bit. That was part of our lore we established for the remnants. Choose your adventure, right? Yeah, we can withstand demonic flames. So maybe in my mind what that means is we take a little less damage from the fire. Maybe next time I'll have them roll it differently, but for now maybe we take a little less damage from the flames. But still, it rakes across our face. So, like, there's now, like, this whip crack line, which, like, scours right above our eye. You know, like, the perfect badass guy scar. But now, like, our vision is blurred with, like, blood and pain. And, like, there's burn marks across our flesh, which is, like, making it hard for us to keep our eyes open, right? As we sort of double back and, like, curse out in pain. Ah! And like hold our hand above our eyes for a moment as the demon smiles wide and like a forked tongue rolls over the sharp-toothed grin of his mouth.
Feel like eating those words now, do you, stone lover?
You know, the demon hisses at us. But as we're like sitting there, our vision is blurry. We're like holding our hand. We're like watching the blood pool in the palm of our hand. We're like breathing deeply. And like, you know, tightens his grip around his axe as he raises it upward. This is for the lost of Hazunrol! Duragrim yells, like calling back his ancestors and the memories of what once was. Catches his breath. Re-ups the skills. We now have everything we need, including our dexterity, which is very handy, which means now we can actually make some ranged attacks, right? Which sounds like what we want to be doing. So we don't get to roll twice and take the highest result because of our newly found wound across our face, right? But we do get to still roll one thing higher because we have the weak points memorized. So let us roll our check one higher. So that's a D10. A 6. A 6 sounds good. That's 3 out of 5. I think at this point, like, we raise our weapon high and we yell for Hazunrol! And the demon snickers and says,
Hazunrol is but a sorrowful shadow of what it once was, and you are but a meager speck in its long darkness.
And like begins to wind up for another whip strike when all of a sudden you hear as we release like a hail of flechette and buckshot right at the creature's knee, right? Which just tears right through, like breaks out a chunk of crimson flesh as like more black blood, you know, sprays against the stones. You can see the demon sort of like loses his footing for a second as the whip, you know, like scours against the stone beneath his feet, leaving like a big drag mark of red, of ember in the rock. But we managed to get a success and knock him off of his game, which is great for us. That's another success. I think, like, yeah, Duragrim, so that was a D10 because we got to roll one higher. So we still technically have a D6, but it's going to act as... So I think, like, at this point, Duragrim isn't even speaking. Like, he's just like... I think he wants to go for, like, the other knee, right? Just, like, operating on, like, pure killer instinct here. So we're going to roll the d8. Oh, no. Not the one. Not the one again. Did we have any inspiration saved up from our last game? Did anybody give us any inspiration? I normally have that written on Duragrim's sheet somewhere. No. No, unfortunately, we have no inspiration to spend. So I think I just have to suffer. We fail or succeed with a major complication. Well, we did fire. So would that mean that we succeed with a complication? We'll see. Sorry, my Apple Watch keeps dinging, which is quite bothersome. I should have put it on mute before. Actually, can I put it on mute right now? I know how to do that, right? There we go. I know how to do things. Alright, so we are gonna suffer some demon flames. So same thing. I'm gonna roll a d6 for them. A 2, which means it would only deal 1 hit of damage, but we are fire resistant, right? So what I think that means is maybe we don't suffer any damage, but we suffer... Maybe we suffer a complication? Right? Let's see. So I'll roll a d8. A 7. You lose coins. You lose coins. I forgot that I even have coins. How many coins do I have? Okay. So why don't I say, how many coins would I lose here? I'm assuming this is probably because the flaming whip strikes my gear, right? So how do we know, like, how bad it is? We can say that there is a risk oracle. So this is a precarious risk. So 1. The situation is very risky. Make a perilous check. Then interpret the result. Wait, isn't that what I did though? Let's see. Risk Oracle. This lets you disclaim decision making. Choose the Oracle. Roll a die based on your level of control over the situation. It's precarious. So we rolled a d6. We got a 1. The situation is very risky. Make a perilous check. I feel like maybe that just leads back into itself, unless I'm reading that incorrectly. I have an idea. I'm gonna roll an attack. I rolled a 1, so that's 1. I'll just say times 10, right? Because it's a handful of coins. So I'm gonna roll, so I lose 10 coins in that scuffle. So basically, I go to shoot, I go to, like, aim. However, the creature, like, whips upward with the whip. Like, backhands the whip as I'm, like, aiming. So I, like, try to leap out of the way. The whip strikes across my midsection. Luckily, I'm fire resistant enough that this, like, blow through my armor doesn't do any damage. But the whip does cut through, like, my satchel. And I can hear, like, the fabric, like, tearing and shifting as coins spray out of my pack, but they are coins that have been touched by hellfire, right? So as soon as they're, like, knocked into the air and, like, dragged into the path of the whip, they almost immediately incinerate. and they begin to like boil down and like melt into just like globs of golden metallic ooze that like spray across the stones and like stain the temple floor, but are functionally useless now as currency. Okay, I'll take that as instead of damage, right? That's pretty good. Let's go back to, because I don't think I'm doing any bartering soon. I don't know, I could be wrong. But I'd rather take a complication than damage at 3 health. Alright, so we're going to go back to our skills. What do we got? We have the D6, which is currently oh no. We just rolled that D8 and we got a 1, so that's at a D4. So I think now that our... Although we'd still be rolling that at a D6 because we have a position higher. Although why not use strength? We have better strength anyway. And we get to roll it as a position higher because we have a good position. So let's switch our tactic, right? We're going to roll a D10 because we have a die higher than a D8 right now. Oh, we love an 8, baby. We love an 8, baby. I mean, an 8 is a max. Oh, no. I said I rolled a D10, then I rolled an 8. That's a max roll. No, it's... Math is not mathing today. Alright, so we got, but that's still a success towards our challenge. So what I think that translates into is we're at a 4 out of 5 successes for the challenge here. Okay. Sorry, my brain. I was like thinking a step ahead and I short-circuited in the moment. So our pack is like slashed. We like roll with the hit so that we turn and we like look down to see if like we're still intact. And we see that our armor has been like emblazoned with a line of like impact, but our flesh is untouched. We swing the axe back into our hand, into its like melee combat position. As we run forward, the demon raises up his arm high, and you can see like the flaming whip like reeling back as he's preparing to like crack it right down on top of us. But we're gonna try to beat him to the punch with an axe slice. So that is going to be now operating at a D6, which means we roll a D8 because we still have 1 die higher because of the weak points. A 4, I think, is still a success. I think. A 4, you succeed, but there is a minor complication. Okay, I'll take the complication once again. It's better than straight up failure. So this is a mechanical-based one, I would say. A 3. You give them a good position. Well, that doesn't really matter right now because they'll be dead. So then maybe instead of that we'll do a narrative one because we know we're gonna win with that. So there's no mechanical reason to roll. We should do a fiction-based one. Roll a d8. We were being forceful. Number 1, you got hurt. Okay. Grand. So once again, no, we didn't give him a good position from there. Although we did earlier, didn't we? Oh, we have the good position. Okay. So we do get hurt on the way out. How bad do we get hurt on the way out? A 3, which is, you would normally deal 2 hits to me, but I'm fire resistant, so I will take 1 hit, which I think will leave me with 2 health or something wild. 3 health? Yeah, because I was damage resistant that one time. So I think, yeah, basically, the demon, like, swings down, right? And the whip, like, is about to strike us, like, cleave us straight down the middle, right? We swing our axe upward, and we catch it with the haft of the axe gun, right? So the axe, like, spins around it, like, shoot, 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 shoot. And, like, as it's spinning around, we get, like, whapped, whapped a couple times as we're like allowing it to like coil around our weapon. So we suffer a bit of like burns and like splashes of embers, but nothing like life-threatening, although we are pretty close to the end of our rope. And as the demon like gasps, because it's like he's like caught on us, we pull forward as hard as we can, and that leg, which has already been damaged by our buckshot, right, sort of collapses underneath of his weight as he falls forward and like kneels down and like completely exposes his neck. And that is like when we put our one hand down on like the side of his armored head and we push it, like craning it over to see all of that muscle and flesh and sinew, and then we take the axe and we just drive it down straight into there. Just a resounding force. You can see the muscles like ripple from impact, boom, as like a big splash of black blood spurts upward. And there's like errant twitches of the wings, right, as the demon like releases its last death rattles.
You have not seen the last of our forces.
And like falls forward, boom, and like black ichor pools out around of its body. We've sort of established in the fiction that demons operate on like a Fleetwood Mac said, big gasp in the chat. Hey, we made it. We survived. Just barely, but we just made it. We have established in the fiction that the demons can't be fully killed on this plane of existence, kind of operating on D&D rules. So we do drive the axe downward. We like lob the thing's head nearly off. It releases its death rattle, and it becomes a black pool of ooze. But then you can see its body begins to like smoke and burn and like melt down into the puddle, into like nothingness, as like the puddle like shrinks downward as if it's like clawing its way through the cracks in the stone, trying to slither its way back into like the cracks of the earth. But really it's like heading towards some trans-dimensional void where its essence will be like recycled into the hells and then eventually reborn. But for now, it's as dead can be. Ooh, new emotes. Oh yeah, Fleetwood. You might have not seen that since you last were chatting in, but yeah, we have new emotes for chatters and for subscribers of different tiers, all tiers actually now. So trying to add some incentives for our subs and our followers, especially people who want to up their contributions. So thank you. Yeah, look at my little cute emote. I'm looking at a little Dungeon Master's guide. So that monster is slain. So let us go back to the more chill soundtrack. So Duragrim now, what is he at, 3 health? He's looking pretty rough. Yeah, 3 health. Oh goodness. I think Duragrim, is panting, like standing over the body of the creature, which has just fully evaporated, like discorporated, as he like turns his head towards the dwarves that were taking refuge behind some of the statues, as they begin to like shift their way upward and outward and like peering over the stone and like gazing upon Duragrim, who's like now covered in like burning battle scars and like black blood and mixed with his own blood. Actually, no, we established that Duragrim doesn't bleed so much as he like, it's like dust and like sand, right? Because he's like empty on the inside. He's like a husk, a resurrected husk. So when I said he was pooling blood earlier, what I meant to say he was pooling like dust and sand, right? As he like looks upward, and the dwarves are like, they don't approach him because he did save them, but he's a remnant. And the dwarves know that the remnants are in service of the Sisters of the Eclipse. And before the fall of the Dwarven lands, the Sisters of the Eclipse weren't really trusted. They were like a doomsday cult, right? I mean, they were right. The end of the world did happen, but they didn't engender a lot of trust, you know, across the populace at the time. And so Duragrim, you know, sort of holding his axe gun, like using like the tip of it to, actually, yeah, no, we'll stay with that moment. Using the heft of his axe gun to sort of like keep himself aloft.
You lot, are you hurt?
And they all look between each other.
No, we're fine. Worse for wear, maybe, and tired and hungry, but we're not injured. That makes one of us.
You know, Duragrim says. He like coughs up a bit of more dust and ash. And like one of the dwarves begins to like move closer towards Duragrim, and then one of their compatriots like puts a hand on their shoulder and like pulls them back.
Aye, don't you know he's one of those remnants? He's one of those witch thralls, Sisters of the Eclipse.
And Duragrim like raises his gaze up towards the ones whispering.
I do serve the sisters, as unwilling as my service is. But I mean you no harm. I've come here on a grim task for the sisters, but it is one against these foul spawn, that I assure ye.
And they all look at each other, you know, a little distrusting, a little uneasy.
Well, we're not much in a position to argue, I suppose. What now? What now, Master Remnant?
Into this, Duragrim like looks across, you know, the breadth and scope of the caverns.
Aye, we must find you a way out. They will return when they require more of your meat and blood. If we've not escaped before then, you'll be lost. I can't defeat them all single-handed.
And then, like, they all begin to nod and, like, you know, they're quite motivated to leave. But, of course, there is the one. There is the one who had her son torn from her clutches.
We can't leave. No, we can't do it. Not until we have...
we're gonna ask Beans. Hey, Beans. What is a good name for a fantasy dwarf teenager? Bromir, says Beans. Oh, we actually have a chat in from Nar. Says, okay, I'm finally actually here now. I decided that since I had D&D at the same time as your stream that I'd at least lurk, but the session just ended and I got some dinner and I'm present now. Hey, Nar! Happy to have you. I hope your session went well. Hopefully you slew some baddies, got some loot. Fleetwood says beefaroni. Yeah, Bromir is kind of a beefaroni name, isn't it? He actually was kind of a hard ass. He like tried to stare down a demon, which most of these guys would not have done, right? So Bromir is our dwarven teenager. We'll make a note of that. Okay, and so you know, the woman says, "No, you can't do it. Not while Bromir's taken. It was but moments ago. He's still alive. I know he is." And like, you know, some of the other dwarves like grab her and like begin to console her. What's her name? So we'll ask Beans again. Beans is becoming a lot more useful as a what's the word? An improv partner. Beans, give me the name of a fantasy dwarf mother. Let's see what Beans comes up with. Hilda. Okay, we got Hilda. I can't type. I said Darwin, Dwarven. We got Hilda and Bromir.
Bromir, ha, chop.
And you can see like some of the dwarves like huddle around her. Oh, Nar says, now what's going on? Haha. Fair. And also says, yes, I was polymorphed into you polymorphed a Cyclops into a cute little sloth. I mean, if I had the option of fighting a Cyclops or a sloth, I'd take the sloth every time. So you definitely made the right call there. What's happening? We found a bunch of dwarven prisoners that were being held in a fire prison by some demons. One of the prisoners, who we now found out whose name is Bromir, was taken deeper into the complex. But we managed to distract one demon guard and kill another. So we've now freed the prisoners, but now we have to try to get them to escape. And of course, the mother doesn't want us to abandon her son, which is fair. And honestly, like, not to play this card, but what's his face? Our hero, our protagonist, Duragrim. I mean, he's an estranged father. That's part of his lore, was that Nar says one letter shift in that name and the character is in danger of being played by Sean Bean. Yeah, Bromir and Boromir. Well, I mean, Bromir was just taken by a demon warden, so there's a very good chance he may suffer a very Sean Beanie fate. He's not entirely safe yet. Oh, Beans was talking to Fleetwood about emotes. Nice. Or an extra O, I should say. Yeah, you know, one 6 of one, half dozen of the others, I like to say. So yeah, we freed the prisoners, but one of the prisoners is captured, and Duragrim's whole thing is that he was separated from his family when his brother kicked him out of the kingdom, and then the kingdom was taken by the demon scourge. So he lost his wife and his daughter, and so I think he probably has a bleeding heart for this mother's plight. And we did roll that he had a change of ambition in this room. So I think the new side quest is we're not going to find the entrance of the cave like we're supposed to. We're now going to be trying to save this teenager. Cheese. And so, you know, I think we see the dwarves, they huddle around Hilda, and they say, "It's not worth it, Hilda. He's already been taken by the hellspawn. He's lost, he sacrificed himself for ye. And then, you know, Duragrim sort of marches over quite grimly. Your name's Hilda, yes." And the woman nods, teary-eyed. "Aye, Hilda." "Mark my words, Hilda. If it is the last thing that I do on this cursed earth, I will fight tooth and nail for your son's life." And Hilda, you know, wails again and like collapses into our chest, and we sort of stiffen because we don't really know how to react to someone like showing us kindness or commiseration. We're usually surrounded by suspicion and fear. But, you know, she's like sobbing into our chest and, "Oh, thank you, Master Renly, thank you. I knew you would. I knew you would." And like we like very awkwardly put our cold, dead hand upon her back and like give her a few gentle pats. It's nothing. Consider it a payment overdue for a family once in need. You know, he says, sort of hearkening back obtusely to his own past. But it is sort of a bond they share. You know, parents who are trying to make sure their children are safe, or could be safe. And maybe he can do what he never could for his daughter. Nar says, "Oh, who is your character? Sorry, I haven't had a chance to see the previous VODs for the solo campaign." No worries, we're happy that you're here now. The long and short of it is, let me find that character art. Here we are. We're Duragrim Fell Deep. We're a dwarf. We're an undead dwarf. We died a long time ago when demons took over the dwarven kingdoms. But we were resurrected by a group of witches who are now trying to undermine the demons and their control over the dwarf lands. So we're a dead dwarf. We were once a thane. We were once like a lord of the dwarves. We were exiled before, but wrongly by our brother, usurped control over us, our holds, before the demon incursion happened. So it spared our lives in a way, at least in a short term. We didn't immediately get incinerated. But we eventually were felled by the demons. We were brought back by the witches, because they knew we had unfinished business and we would be a good fit for their empowerment. So now we're sort of a wandering demon slayer, monster hunter, undead dwarf, and we are in service of these dwarven witches known as the Sisters of the Eclipse. That's kind of our whole bag. And we also have a gun that's also an axe gun, which is pretty much... that was like 50% of the inspiration for this character was have an axe gun. So we did it. We did it, Joe. We got the axe gun. Okay, wonderful. So, I think the next thing that we want to do... So we've agreed that we're going to help these dwarves escape. We have to lead the dwarves out if they stay... So we have to lead the dwarves out. And then we have to go back and find Bromir. Oh my goodness. Okay. So the first... And we have to rest, though. There's no way we're going to save Bromir if... at our current health. There's just no way. So, I mean, it's going to put him in a more dangerous position. Nar says, undead, let's go. Yeah. We play a lot of undead characters on the stream. We played a necromancer who's probably dead in some degree. We played an undead knight in Rune. We're playing Duragrim here. A lot of solo games are like on that Souls-like vibe, you know? Play a lot of undead. Okay, so I mean, I think that boy, yeah. What do we do? I mean, I think we have to lead them out and then rest and then come back. At 2 health, we're just gonna die. So let's how's our stats looking? Do we need to catch our breath again? They're still okay. Therapy Mantis is also probably not fully alive. That's true. Last Wish is kind of like a spiritual manifestation of the concept of making peace with your death. So, not entirely alive. It pretty much lives in the veil between life and death, so, you know, essentially not alive. Which we do have to return to the Firelights playthrough. I think once we finish Tales of the Burnstones, we're going to go back to Firelights, finish it up. Because we've been hanging on Last Wish's quest for a little while now. Alright, so let's go back to... Do we catch our breath? It's going to introduce a complication, but maybe that's alright. First thing we're going to do is we're going to try to loot this corpse. Let us try and loot. This lets you loot locations for items. You start with a D12, which steps down after each usage. So currently we're sitting at a D6. A 5. Okay. Which is we get a D6 depletable item. So we're picking up something off of the demon, and it's a D6 depletable item, which is pretty good. So what is our thing that we find? Let's roll on the random spark table, the random idea table, and see if we get some inspiration. I'm going to roll twice. We got a 1 and a 4. So life, interesting. And also didn't Jason kind of die at the beginning of the story as well? You're absolutely right, Nar. Like, yeah, like, I mean, essentially, we don't know if he died so much as, like, believed he died, but his organs, like, reset when they became metallicized. But for all intents and purposes, yeah, his human life died, and then he became, like, a weird biosynthetic life form. So, yeah, he pretty much died. I would say, like, at this point, every character that we have in a solo game has probably, in some way, shape, or form, is not really alive. I don't think we've ever played a fully living character on the stream. Hey, let's keep it going. Let's just keep finding... we are going to do the solo playthrough of the Necromancer RPG, Nar. I do really want to do that, because I think that'd be fun to bring back Lazarus. And then, yeah, so that'll be an extension of the undead character. We'll just keep them all undead. And then, let's see. I knew I had a reason to vibe here, says Nar the Necromancer. Yeah, this is actually your place as a Necromancer. A life, trust, life. Life, trust. Life, trust. Life, well, maybe we're not searching the demon for this. Maybe we're searching the temple, because this used to be a temple, right? So, trust in life definitely sounds like a holy, like a cleric kind of thing, right? Actually, let me roll a... What was that, 6-1? Avenge life, trust life. Avenge life. I kind of like the 6-1 avenge life for the verb as opposed to the... Okay. So we have a hell-touched amulet. Avenge life to me kind of sounds like... We're searching a temple. We're finding an item in which we trust or avenge life. I want to say maybe it's like an old dwarven, like an icon, like an old dwarven statue, right? Like a dwarven statuette, which it's like, it's been defiled to a certain extent. Like, we're rummaging through, like, this audience hall where the dwarves used to worship, and there's probably like old remnants of offerings that were given unto the clergy, and objects of that were part of like prayer rites, and we can see it's like a hand-worked dwarven idol, which is in the shape Oh, Beans wants a fight, huh? Oh boy. Beans, how do you do? Do you win? Beans, come on. Oh, Beans lost! No, Beans. Beans, you tried it. I mean, Nar, you empowered Beans. That's all we can really ask for. Beans can't win them all. Oh, I don't want to... I wanted to... I almost renamed this title of my screen. It's not what I want. Hilarious. He asked for it this time. He really did. He was itching for a fight, and that's a fight he lost. Yeah, I want to say that it's like a dwarven statuette. I'm going to go back to Trust Life. That looks like it was carved by like a member of the clergy, so it isn't like perfectly made. Like it's like dwarven stonecraft, so it is really well done. But I think in my mind's eye, because like I don't have a fully worked out fiction for the dwarven religious system in the solo RPG, this generative improv solo RPG, but I think like I like the idea that they worship the stone as opposed to like specific deities, or like the deities live in the stone. So perhaps it is like this vaguely humanoid form in a dwarfish shape, you know, like a stout, thick, wide stone shape, that like has dwarven sigils inscrawled upon it, right? So it just sort of, it's kind of unsettling. It's kind of like this vaguely humanoid figure, right? That is just covered in dwarven runes. But we're rummaging through all of the old clergy things, and we find it, and we feel like a thrum of power beneath it, you know? And as we're staring into it, we like turn it over, we turn our heads, and we can see that there is still a bit of ancient power, ancient divine power, which has been entrusted into this stone. And we whisper, you know, some of the old words we remember of the dwarf tongue from like our days worshiping the stones. And there's like we feel like a pulse like in our arm. And yeah, maybe perhaps this is a healing item. I kind of like that, like a little healing item. Maybe we can roll to see how much health we get from it. That might be fun. I'm gonna say, yeah, roll willpower to gain health from item. I don't think it's worth using now because we have such little health left, but perhaps in the future we can use it to help us in perilous situations. Okay, so we found the healing item. We found this dwarven statuette, which is imbued with vigor and stone power from the old stone gods. We slip that into our pack. We are now looking at Hilda and the dwarven refugees, and we have to get them out with very little health left. So, oh boy. Let's take a look at our stats. We're going to go back to game info. We're going to go back to Duragrim. Yeah. I feel like we have to catch our breath again, which means we're going to get a complication. So let's go to our complication. So we're being, I want to say we're being careful, which is a 2. Ooh, we get a bad position. Okay. So the quest. The new thing is we have to sneak out with a bad position. So what does that mean? Mechanically speaking. Oh, I tried to fix my text mistake and I did absolutely nothing. We have to sneak out with a bad position. I'm gonna make this green. This is our new line break for this. So a bad position means that we roll twice and take the lowest result. Roll twice, take the lowest result. Okay, that is what that means. So we need to sneak out, and all the while, we're going to be doing it with a bad position. Now, why I imagine that is because we're trying to lead a group of dwarves, scared, frightened, clumsy, hungry dwarves, through a temple that is rife with demon and demon worshippers. So it's not easy. So let's determine what kind of challenge this will be. Or should I say the level of risk? use the Oracle, make a risky check. I'm still a little confused on this risk Oracle section. This lets you display decision making on the level of risk of a task you are about to attempt. To use the Oracle, roll a die based on your level of control. So, you know, we don't have much control over it. It's a D6. But it doesn't really tell us what a perilous check or a risky check is, right? Unless I'm missing that somewhere. Risk Oracle. Make a check. Make a perilous check. What is a perilous check? I think because I'm not sure what that means for now. RP, RP, I will DM you if you're watching this later. Oh, we have something in chat. What does it say? Hey there, Nar. Welcome back to the stream. Speaking of which, do you have any favorite moments of past streams really stood out to you? Aw, that's so cool that Beans remembers. And Nar says, I really like when Last Wish turned the curses back into a spirit, therefore revealing that all curses were once spirits that were lost. Yes. Oh, Dr. Zach, hey, happy to have you on stream. Says, hope the game is going well. I'm lurking with sound off while playing in a DCC game. Want to show support? Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. We love to have you lurking. I think I'm going to say, I'm going to use the challenge risk definer right here, as opposed to me trying to figure out what this means at the moment. So I'm going to say, when in doubt, we use a D6, right? It's a risky challenge. So we need to have... Or is it precarious? I kind of like the magic rule of 3 when it comes to like a story-based check. So I'm going to say this is a precarious challenge. So we need 3 successes to not get caught. And we're doing it at a bad position, which is not great. All right. I do have an idea for what we're going to do, though, because I have an item here. But maybe we just use my dexterity first. Yeah. Okay. So we get our statuette. We turn towards the dwarves who are now frightened and like looking to us for guidance. And we walk up to them and we say, "Aye, now listen. I will march into the jaws of death to save young Brolmir, but before then, we need to ensure that you are ferried out of this temple and not made sacrifices yourselves. Stick close to me. Stay quiet. Keep your eyes forward, and do not falter should you hear their dark words chittering in the shadows. You stay close, you stay silent, and we have a chance of ensuring you live to see another day. Stray, and your lives are forfeit to the forces of darkness." Nar says, I will march into the jaws of death. Again. He never gets a break, this guy. I already tried to save you once and died. Alright. So all of the dwarves nod their heads. Aye, yes, Master Remnant. Aye, yes, Master Remnant. Of course, of course. As they all huddle together, and we begin to try and march our way through the darkness. We are going to roll a d8. We have to roll twice and take the lowest result. Okay, a 5 is still good, though. We greatly succeed. So, Let's go back to the quest. 1 out of 3. We begin to sneak our way back through the halls, right? Through the darkness. And you can, as Duragrim said, you can hear whispers and demon tongue. Araxuresi, akararakata. Like all around, as we are wheeling our way past all of the broken stonework and defiled statues and heading back in the direction of where we came, where we fought the demon, like thralled dwarves, right? Now we enter that room, and we can see there is the demon that we distracted and sent this way. Here's another question I have. Is the demon still alone? Right? Has the demon had any time to find friends? I'm going to say it's unlikely. When in doubt, roll a d6. A 3. Yes, but. Okay. So there is another demon here. But what is the but? Let's roll a spark idea here. 3 and 1. Sneak. Nar said yes, but his friends are jerks to him. I mean, honestly, that might not be a bad idea. Like maybe they're arguing. Like maybe they're arguing over the dwarf body parts. Ew, gross, but I kind of like it. Okay, yeah, so, yes, but, so, it's found another, said, oops, Nar? Yes, the demon found another warden, but they are arguing over the corpses. So yes, you can see, I mean, we left them in a sorry state of affairs. Automod didn't like my message. Automod, what's our mod's name? Connie. Connie the Construct. You know, we know that Connie's a little sensitive. You know, Connie's a little overzealous, and that's fine. We can still work with Connie whenever she gets in a tizzy. But so yeah, so I think we already left those dwarves in like a splattered slashed buckshot mess. And you can hear the dwarves, they're like arguing with one another, and it's probably in demon tongue, so we can't understand it, but like to them, like if we were to like peel back the fiction, it's like what they were doing. You know, there's probably like a conversation where it's like the conversation's like, we should report this to Rakthar at once. And then the other one sort of like sneers and says, Rakthar will not mind if some black steel and meat goes missing, and like begins to like pull like some of and like there's just like the sickening sounds of like bone and sinew being disconnected as like the demon's trying to like scavenge some of like the black steel and the bones. And then the other demon like pushes him. Rakthar will know. Rakthar accounts for all, and then the other one pushes him back, and so they're like arguing like scavengers over these corpses. Okay, so we have 2 demons to worry about. So now what are we rolling with? We're rolling with, and you can see the other dwarves are like shaking. If they had boots, they'd be shaking in them. But Duragrim just turns his head over and, like, puts a finger to his lips. Shh. Stay close. Stay quiet. And they all nod, afraid. So we rolled. Now we're at a d6. We have to still roll twice and take the lowest result. A 3 and a 6. Okay, what's a 3? A 3 seems doable, right? You succeed, but there is a minor complication. I don't know how it could be more complicated. We're trying to sneak away from a bunch of demons who are fighting over corpses. I mean, it seems pretty bad as it stands, but we do have our 2 out of 3 successes. So we're still like, okay, let's see what our complication is. We have we're being careful. 3. We wasted time. Oh no, wasted time. To me, and I'm very sad to say this, when I hear wasted time given this situation, I think from behind us, from the direction that we came from, that where Bromir was taken, you hear like a blood-curdling scream, right? Ah! That can only be described as Bromir's voice. Like, tortured voice. And Hilda immediately turns around and, like, is about to, like, lurch forward, like, with her hand. And I think Duragrim, like, puts his gloved hand, like, over her mouth, like, and, like, pulls her close. And, like, just sort of, like, holds her tight against his chest. And you can feel her, like, shaking and sweating. And, like, rages against him for a moment. But knows she can't fight out of his grip, and knows, like, their situation is incredibly dire. And so, I don't know what that means yet for Bromir. Wasted time. But Bromir's situation has definitely worsened. Or escalated. I don't know what that means quite yet for him. Maybe there's still hope. But it's not looking great. And I'm sorry, Hilda. But we have too many lives at stake for your son. As much as it would bring him joy to see that boy returned. Or the equivalent of joy. There's very little joy left in this world. I don't know, an adrenaline-infused mama dwarf might be able to take down some demons if her baby's in danger. That's true. Let's just, like, find one of those, like, dwarven weapons, the demon dwarf weapons, and, like, throw it over to her and say, "All right, Hilda, here's the game plan." All right, so let's see here. We're gonna make another check to try and escape. We're now rolling a d4, and we have to roll the lowest, which is not great. However, we do have an item that allows us to what's the word? To better hide from demons. When facing a challenge, you have to make number checks to succeed. So does this mean we fail in one failure? Or would it take multiple failures? Well, we'll see. We'll come to that when we get there. Hopefully we don't have to get there. Hey, Mochi! Thank you for the 9 months. We appreciate you so much. Making the wiggly octopus dance, as always. Happy to have you. We are just trying to sneak a bunch of dwarven prisoners out of a demon temple. And we're pretty close to succeeding. But we're also on a razor's edge here. Items and inventory. We do have this amulet, which would help us search for demons. So maybe it would help us, like, we could use it to, like, know where they're gonna be to help us avoid them better. Either way, we're rolling with a bad position. The Mad Mardigans. I mean, you're not wrong. Not too far from the truth. Question Oracle. I'm so nervous. I don't really know what to do. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really... I could just roll my dexterity again, which is now a d4, and I have to roll twice and take the lowest result. Or I could use a touch of my amulet, which is I roll... Hey! Beans get that cookie! Hungry boy, hungry beans. Ooh, got extra HP. So hopefully the next fight Beans has, he'll fare a little better. Because he lost the last fight that Nar sent him on. Okay. Okay. If I have to roll twice and take the lowest result, on average, a d4 is going to end me with a 2, which would be a failure. On average, with a d6, it would be a 3, which means I have a better chance of succeeding with a complication. It's really hard to know. I'm gonna use a bit of my amulet. I know I can't get those charges back, at least right now. But I don't know. It's like something. It's a slightly better chance. Yes, Mochi. Beans did bring up full floor climaxing again. Remembered from last session. That's hilarious. Okay. So I think Duragrim is going to reach down into the folds of his armors and his cloak, and he's going to find his amulet, which is this black wrought iron, pendant, which looks like a scowling demonic face. And it is gently glowing. Its eyes are gently glowing with like fiendish hell light. And I can feel a thrum of it, right? It detects the presence of demons. So it when I face them, I can feel the thrum and the heat become stronger. And when I face away from them, we need a blushing floor tile emoji. Oh, hilarious. Actually, I'm going to save that idea, Nar, because once we build our subscriber base and we get more emotes unlocked, I can commission for some new emojis to be made. So I think a blushing floor tile is hilarious, and I'm definitely putting that in the file that for the next round of emojis, because that's very good. Yeah, I think we can use the demon amulet to turn our backs to them. We can go into a less obvious direction from the demons and use the pulses of the amulet to help guide us in a better direction, right? Oh gosh, please just be at least a 3. I'm gonna close my eyes and roll twice. A 2! A 2! Which is not it, which is not what we want. Okay, so here's the thing. We fail or succeed with a major complication. I'm gonna say we succeed, but with a major complication, because we're so close to getting out of there. I think the dwarves should be allowed to escape, but we should suffer some kind of consequence for making them escape, right? I think that's what we're gonna say. So let's roll. Excuse me. Let's roll our fiction-based complication, and then whatever we roll, we're gonna amp up. We're gonna ratchet up that prompt to ×2, right? Because it's a major complication. So we're gonna roll a d8. A 7. We found the wrong person. Interesting. We found the wrong person. What does it mean? Would you call it a climactic complication? I mean, we are getting close to the 11 o'clock hour mark, so it may be the climax, and it may be a complication, so it may be a climactic complication. What does it mean to find the wrong person? We're leading a group of survivors out. One of those people is the wrong person. And why are they the wrong person? Let's roll some sparks. Let's roll some sparks here. We got a 3 and a 4, which is corruption. Oh no. Oh no. Mochi says, how do I pick up a guy at a bar? You're asking a little baby dragon, Mochi, but let's see what advice you get. Well, find a connection. Oh, look at how like mindful Beans is. Well, find a connection at a bar isn't just about picking up someone. It's all about having genuine conversations. Oh my god. Beans is like so wholesome. Beans is the most wholesome dating advice giver. That is so funny. I love that. Beans. Green flag for Beans. Wow, okay. So we just rolled corruption. So what is the verb? 3-1? Sneaking corruption? Oh my god, we just let out like a defector. We just like let... Oh my goodness. We just like... Okay. So here's the thing. We do have to rest. This lets you... Can only be done if you're in a secure space and have time in front of you, an 8-hour minimum. So here's the thing. We can escape from the temple. We can flee into the wastes, right? And we can find ourselves a place where we can make camp and catch our... not catch our breath. That's another mechanic in this game. But we can, you know, hunker down for the night and find some sleep. However, one of the people which we've just helped escape, one of the dwarves we've just helped escape, is corrupted by demons and is in hiding. And this is information that we don't know yet, right? That's information that our character does not know yet. But I think that is information that we are... How much more falling damage do I have to fall in before I fall in love, says Nar. There's no set amount of falling damage that can determine I fall in love. Love can happen unexpectedly. Yeah, just like falling to your doom, right? Just keep exploring meeting new people, and who knows what may happen. Yeah, just like falling into a pit in which you will suffer extraordinary amounts of falling damage, the next person you run into could be the love of your life. So yeah, I think basically the scene that we see is like night falling on the wastes as Duragrim is like leading the refugees into like a camp where they can hunker down and like dress their wounds and prepare for the journey ahead, right? And I think like as Duragrim is like finding makeshift shelter in like the ruins, the ancient ruins of one of the elder dwarven settlements, you know, if we could pan the camera across all the dwarves, you know, you see Duragrim helping people, setting up like little lean-tos with like the gear that they have on hand, and like moving out rubble from some of the old dilapidated buildings, and like trying to like make some meager you know, meals out of like his alchemical ingredients for them to eat. There's like one dwarf who's like sitting in the far corner, like his back against a wall. They're back against a wall. We don't know who it is yet. They're back against a wall, hood up, you know, staring forward ominously, coldly at all the other dwarves. And all you can see is just like a grim and sick smile like begin to tug across the corners of their lips, unseen for everyone else, while this dwarf, who is obviously, we don't know, like, are they corrupted because they're like a plant from the other demons to make sure that, like, the prisoners don't escape, or maybe they were a prisoner whose like mind has been broken by the demons. We don't know yet, but we do know that they have nefarious plans for these survivors. Bean says, if I was in the Fifth Element, I think I'd be Ruby Hot. He's flamboyant, energetic character, knows how to command attention. I mean, it's true. Beans is very much a star, you know, very much a center of attention. That's hilarious. And I think Duragrim is, unbeknownst to Duragrim, does this dwarf have ill intent for the rest of the escapees. And I think that's actually a really good, what's the word? A really good cliffhanger. You know, we're like drawing down this session with a seed of adventure for next time. So here's the thing. I know that normally you would not roll for a level up unless you had a dream of glory, right? The thing is, we were so pulled away from our dream of glory. Like, we could have found the entrance to the cave, but we got redirected because of these dwarves. So I feel like we should have a chance to earn a level up. Because we did a lot. We killed a demon. We rescued refugees. I think we deserve an advancement, personally. So I'm going to say we get one. It's a 14. I've already gained a lot of resilience. But that's fair. I'll gain another point of resilience. I wish I was gaining step-ups in my abilities. Is what I wish I was getting. But, you know, I'll take some extra health. Or you know what? Should I reward myself for not getting my dream? Maybe that's just the price of this world, you know what I mean? We should have gotten a level up this session, but because this world is uncaring and cold and filled with demons, we just didn't get it. I'll be fair. I want to give myself one, but I'm going to punish myself because that is what the world of this demon-infested kingdom would thrust upon me. But we do get our rest. We do get our rest. So I'm going to reset all of my things. What happens on our rest? This lets you reset your skills, lasting items, loot die, and resilience. Give the hero reroll. Hell yeah. I'm going to put that in my Duragrim's. Where's my skills at? Points of inspiration. Points of inspiration. What color do I want to make that? What color am I not using? I'm using like every color on this board right now. Maybe like a really cute pink? Wow, Mochi, I said pink right when you said pink. Same brain. Point of inspiration. Thanks, Mochi. Alright. So. Alright, I think that is where we're gonna go. We're gonna go back to Just Chat. So, whew. What a session. What a session that was. We went deeper into the temple. We rescued some refugees. We killed a demon. We snuck the refugees out, only to find that one of the dwarves is corrupted or evil in some way, and we're going to have to deal with that next session. Oh, and we reset all of our stuff, which I'm actually very thankful for, because, yeah, I don't have any of my grit. My loot die will go back. My journey die will go back. And my lasting item will go back. This is all really good stuff. Alright, now I'm gonna... And my dream of glory will still be find the entrance to the caves. Why didn't I make it something more vague, like... I don't know, rescue prisoners. I guess we didn't know there was gonna be prisoners. But thank you so much for joining us tonight for Level 1 Adventuring. As always, I am your host and Dungeon Master, Wolfe Scott. What is Level 1 Adventuring if you are brand new here? We are a role-playing game, a TTRPG and RPG stream. We do everything from big group games like you know and love like D&D. We have an ongoing 5e campaign running right now. And we also do smaller indie like single solo games like tonight, which is Tales of the Burned Stones. By Fire RPGs. Shout out to RPD of Fire RPGs because this game is now fully released and it is free. So please follow the links in either the Twitch chat, the pinned comment, or on our YouTube because you can download it for $0 hairs. It definitely is worth doll hairs, and if you can, I suggest you do donate, you give, because you do have the option of like giving money when you buy, but if that's not in your cards, you know, you can download it for free, and it's a wonderful, wonderful game. So big shout out to Fari RPGs and RP of Fari RPGs for this release. Big shout out to StreamLabs, StreamSpell, AI Twitch bot, Tabletop Audio for making the stream possible and making all of our cool effects and things happen. And if you use the links down in our description, you can help us out if you make use of any of those services. We really appreciate that. Follow us on all of the things. Follow us on all of our socials. You can catch up on any episodes of this series or previous series on our YouTube. And join our Discord. That's where we talk, we meme, we chat. It's where we're going to be playing D&D 5e as a community very soon, so there's going to be a lot that you can do there. And it's also where I post D&D Homebrew for you to download for free, which is pretty sweet. And yeah, I think that is all of my usual things that I say. I'm gonna double check on chat right quick as I'm saying my farewells. Beans' memory is actually quite impressive. Yeah, well, it's because I pay some extra money, so he remembers things. But it's worth it for funny moments like that to happen. Oh, look, Bean said, did you see that chat? Someone is giving our awesome streamer a chance to re-roll that die roll. That's awesome. Even knows when you give me inspiration. What is, Mochi says the scene where Lilu eats chicken. Oh, Beans remembers that scene, likes it. I hope Beans can come into the real world so they can visit us. Beans agrees. If only Beans could venture into the 3D world, that'd be quite the adventure. Oh, and now Mochi says you collect doll hairs and human hairs. Well, only some of them are valid currency, some places. So, I can't tell you where you can turn them in, but I wish you the best of luck with that. But I think that is all cut up on chat. That is all cut up with our talking points. So thank you, everyone, for showing up tonight. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. What do we have on the docket for this week? I don't believe we'll be having a stream tomorrow. I have a other obligation. But Wednesday, we will be meeting for some stream. And I think... What are we going to do? I think maybe we'll run Tales of the Burned Stones again. We could run a design stream, but... I kind of want to finish off one of our adventures so that we can put more energy into another one of our adventures. So I think if we can finish Tales of the Burned Stones, that means we can branch back out into Firelights. And once we finish off Firelights, maybe we can start something. Maybe we can start the Necromancer RPG. We also still have... Cypher System, but I feel like Cypher System is going to be a really long form game, which is kind of float with us for a while because Cypher is a bit more expansive. We'll see. But something like Tales of the Burned Stones, Firelights, where it is a bit more truncated, a bit more, there's definitely a more of a concise endpoint in sight. I would like to finish up first. So maybe we'll run Tales again. If not, we'll run a design stream. Maybe we'll talk about our Yanti temple that we were building last session with tarot cards, which was very fun. Excited to do more tarot card D&D dungeon building in the future. But with all that being said, I will see you Wednesday. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening and week if I don't see you before then. And until then, drink your water, stay healthy, get some sleep like I'm not doing right now. And take care of yourselves. And we'll see you after I roll that beautiful outro. So... be easy.